Welcome to Whiskey is a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano, and today I got two things going on. First, I need to give away my non-peated Scotch flight. The second one is going to be diving into my finals for my peated Scotch whiskeys. So let's go ahead and get this thing going with the selection of the winner of my non-peated Scotch flight. I have all of the names randomized on this wheel. Let's go ahead and spin it, and let's see if I can get it into focus this time and get a winner. And I'll explain all the details in a second. So here we go. Good luck to everybody. Thanks again for donating to the channel, showing some support. All right, well, that took quite a while. All right, Ginny Mason, Ginny Mason, Ginny Mason, Ginnnymason. Congratulations on winning the flight. Now, here's the whole thing. You don't need to win the flight as it was presented in the video. You can go back and take a look at all of the different categories that I had with the non-peated scotches. This is your money. So I would like to give you a flight that you want. So go back, take a look, see what I've done over the past 6 months with all of those categories. Pick your 7, and then I'm going to throw in the Bunnahabhain Cask Strength 2022 just for goofs. So congratulations, Ginny or Ginny Mason. Send me your information. The link to my email is in the description down below. You can also throw me a message through my Instagram, which is Whiskey is a Journey. We'll go ahead and verify all the stuff that we need to. So again, congratulations. Now, moving on to my peated scotches, you can do the same thing. Every entry, every $5 gets you one entry into this giveaway. Again, once I get finished with my flight and picking out my winner, if you end up winning, you don't have to select my flight. You can go back and select any 5, or let's make it even. Let's go ahead and go back and you can select any 7 from my peated scotches, and then I'm going to automatically throw in the Octomore 13.2 just to round it out and get it to 8. So every $5 gets you one entry. Unfortunately, I have to keep this as US only. All of the rules are the same for the past 2 videos. I'm going to go ahead and put the rules in the description below. So if you need to take a look at that, go ahead and take a look at that. All right, I feel like I'm winded. So here we go. My peated Scotch flight is going to start out with my winner of my 10-year-old peated Scotches, which is going to be bottle number 1, glass number 1. Ardbeg 10 ended up beating all of my other 10-year-old peated Scotches. So that's going to be in glass number 1. And I just have them marked on the bottom, and I have them in the black Glencairns, so the color doesn't give anything away. All right, moving on to bottle number 2. Ardnamurchan Cask Strength 523 release is the one that took my Cask Strength top honors, and that's going to be in glass number 2. Bottle number 3. We got another Ardbeg. Ardbeg Uigeadail ended up taking my non-age stated peated single malt flight, and that is going to be in glass number 3. Moving on to bottle number 4. I got into my older peated scotches, and this is going to be the Springbank 18, and that's going to be in glass number 4. And my final bottle, in my head, I just think that this one is my favorite peated scotch that I have in my collection, so I thought I'd throw it into this blind and see how it does. And this is going to be automatically entered into this giveaway as well. So you don't have to pick this one, but I am going to throw it in there. And that is going to be the Octomore 13.2. This is the Oloroso cask finished, or the Oloroso cask matured Octomore. And I believe this is a 5-year-old bottle. So that's going to be in glass number 5. And I'm going to go ahead and clear this out and then start mixing this up, and then talk a little bit about the rules again and how all of this is going to work. So give me 1 second. So what I'm going to end up doing is just mixing these things around. Eventually, I will pick a winner and rank them in the order in which I like. I'm not really going to get in depth into the tasting notes and the nosing notes of all of these. I did this in the prior videos. This is just all about figuring out which peated single malt Scotch I have in my collection that I like the most. And when I say I like the most, I like them all, because these are all the winners of the things that I've liked the most. So it's going to be interesting to see how these things pan out. Again, if you're interested in donating to the channel, supporting the channel, every $5 in this giveaway is going to give you one entry. And then I'm going to announce my winner in the following video, my following Friday video, which will be the first Friday flight fight that I do going forward. You have to be 21 years of age or older to win this. I have to be able to verify your age, so we'll kind of get into that a little bit later once you win. It's limited to United States only. I can't really ship into Canada or overseas, so that's pretty unfortunate, so I apologize for that. And I think that's pretty much straightforward. I'm going to keep the lids on these because I don't want to be overwhelmed with the peat. I'm going to go from my right to my left. I've got my water here. I've got my pad of paper here with my pencil so I can take some notes as I go. So here we go. Glass number 1 already smells amazing, and I haven't even put it up to my nose yet. All right, here we go. Savory peat. This is going to be on the smoked meat side of things. Behind that, I get a good amount of sweetness, and it's coming across as a little bit of red fruit. I'm going to taste this in a second, but I want to make sure I get everything written down here. So savory peat, red fruit. ABV is pretty good. I get a little bit of a sting to the nose. It's a good amount of vanilla and a slight amount of tobacco and milk chocolate. Let's get it on the palate. Oh my gosh, that is absolutely amazing. On the palate, the peat that I'm getting is campfire smoke, ashy log, and smoked meat. That's amazing. That is the type of peat I like the most. The fruity notes are coming through. Red fruit. You get a little bit of burnt or crispy pineapple, like you throw a pineapple slice onto the grill and it chars up a little bit. I get that. There's a good chocolate note, a little bit of tobacco, and maybe that tobacco note is also part of the ashy log note. It's vanilla rich, it's dark, but it also has a little bit of a bright note to it. It's not really all dense and dark. There is a little bit of a brighter note in here, and I think that's where that pineapple is coming from, that vanilla note. It kind of just lifts it up a little bit. It gives it a good amount of character. I would say this has a great amount of depth. And here I am going on and on and on about this when I said that I wasn't going in depth to these notes. I like that one quite a bit. Let's get a rinse here and then move on to glass number 2. Not nearly as fruity or peaty as glass number 1. There's a little bit of a funky cheese, decaying leaves, wet cardboard note coming out of here. Not getting a tremendous amount of ABV like I did with glass number 1. So it's opening day baseball. And if you can hear the jets flying by, I think that is the jets flying by the Chase Field. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, if you don't know. This does smell exceptional, but it's not as robust as glass number 1. So let's get this thing on the palate. All right, I think I have an idea what that one is. That's got some age to it. There is a soft, rich, well-developed note. It coats everything in my mouth. There's a good amount of sweetness, red fruit sweetness, and there is a very subtle amount of peat. And the peat that I get is going to be on the smoked meat savory side of things. Good vanilla, good tobacco. There's a rich chocolate note as well. You know, when you dissolve chocolate in the mouth, I think that is kind of what I'm getting as far as a mouthfeel or a mouth coating. That chocolate kind of sticks to every crack and crevice in your mouth. This is doing the same thing. Well-rounded, no sharp edges whatsoever. Let's get a rinse of water and let me jot down some of my notes here. All right, let's go ahead and move on to glass number 3. This smells very fruit metally forward, very sweet, very cotton candy, very strawberry, berry, bubblegum. Not getting a whole lot of peat as well. Almost no peat whatsoever compared to the first two. I think the sweetness is overpowering that. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. Okay, the peat is coming through on the palate. I didn't really necessarily get it on the nose, but on the palate, It's definitely very ashy. It's a smoldering log campfire smoke. After you pour water on the log, you kind of get that wet note. There's a good amount of ABV, and again, that fruity note is coming through like a bowl of berries. Maybe if you throw a little bit of char on the berries, that is going to come across as the peated note. And I think the Jets are now heading back the other direction. Boy, I tell you what, that is a very good pour as well. I would say that if you are a peated Scotch lover and you really want to get a big hit of peat, this would not be my first suggestion. So far, that seemed to be the less ppms or the least amount of ppms of any of them so far. And I don't really necessarily know if those notes matter at all or if those ppm numbers matter at all, but that is fruity sweet, subtle peat, charred berries. Go ahead and get a rinse here. Let my mouth mellow down. That one had a little bit of a shorter finish than the first one, somewhere in between the first and second. All right, let's go ahead and get to glass number 4. All right, the peat is in between ashy log and smoked meats. Still have a good amount of sweetness coming out of the glass. Again, all of those red fruit, berry, metally notes, grilled pineapple, vanilla. There's almost a lighter note coming out of here. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing on the palate. Okay, the peat note on the palate is completely different from the nose. This has quite a bit of drying, ashy, almost leaning a little bit more towards the Band-Aid and iodine. And I get a good amount of saltiness coming out of this one as well. Good vanilla. I love the malt note that I get out of here. Doesn't seem to have very long of a finish, but it's briny, it's salty, and it's a little bit more towards that iodine side of things. So as much as this one might be ashy, smoky meats, this one is a little bit more towards the ashy iodine note. Throwing in a little bit of salt as well, but it's really good. Yeah, this one definitely has a salty note that the others did not. And as far as the ABV goes, I think it's probably lower on the ABV than most of them. Tell you what, it's crisp. It's got a good amount of depth, and I think that salty note is striking me as pretty good. But I tell you what, these Jets just seem to be making circles around my house. I don't know if you guys can hear them. But yeah, they're out there. The vanilla note sticks out, and there is a little bit of a chocolate note as well. And I would say that the chocolate note is not milk chocolate. It's a little bit more of a dark chocolate, and there's a bitterness on the side of my tongue. All right, let's get another rinse in here, and let's get on to the last glass. I have a feeling what time it is. It's Thursday, 6:51. I think the game already started. Holy cow. That is so much different than any of them. It wants to be sweet. It wants to be savory. It wants to be funky. It wants to be red fruit. ABV is pretty good, stinging my nose. But there is this doesn't sound very good, but there's a lighter fluid note that's coming out of the glass. Maybe a little bit astringent. You know what? It's not astringent. It's sulfur. I've been getting a lot of sulfur notes on Oloroso or PX whiskeys lately. It doesn't stick around for a long time, but I definitely am getting a hint of sulfur. But the more that I'm smelling it, it's going a little bit more towards the smoked meat savory side of the peat note. Good amounts of vanilla, good chocolate, red fruits. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. This is going to be impossible to choose. I would say right up front, the two that strike me just standing out the most are glasses 1 and 5. Everything that I like about peated Scotch, these two have. Good amounts of ABV. The vanilla note is there. The peat note that I get is the smoked meat side. There's no hint of iodine or Band-Aid in either one of these. I've got good amount of sweetness, good amount of ABV. This saturates my entire mouth again. It feels like I'm dissolving milk chocolate in my mouth, kind of like this one did. It's saturating everything in the mouth. It's going through this evolution of sweet, of tannin, of tobacco, of chocolate, grilled pineapple, red fruits, good, deep, rich, malty notes. That's amazing. I like that quite a bit. All right, so what I'm gonna do is rinse, speed this next part up, go back the other direction. I think I'm gonna have to A/B some of these, and then when I come back, I should have a final order. I'll be back in a little bit. All right, I'm back, and I have an order. I tell you what, I will drink any one of these at any time. They're absolutely fantastic. In my situation here, I think they are all worthy of being number one. But obviously, since this is a flight to choose my favorite, I have to rank them 5-1. So let me go ahead and jump right into this. My fifth place is going to be glass 3 in. It came across as a little bit too light on the peat. And since this is a peated flight, I was looking for that hefty peat note. Even though it's there, it just doesn't live up to the others. The sweet note that I was getting out of here was a little bit too cotton candy, a little bit too bubble gum, and the notes didn't seem to develop like the rest of them. So that's going to be in fifth place. And that is going to be, the Ardmarken Cask Strength 523 release. That does not surprise me. It's very good. And I think of the releases that I have of the Ardmarkens, this is definitely going to be the best one that I have. All right, coming in fourth place, I have the glass right next to it. I said that this was another very low peated offering. It was well-rounded, had a little bit of funkiness to it. It was very velvety in texture. But again, just like glass number 3, I was looking for a peat punch, and I didn't really necessarily get it out of this glass. The peat that I was getting was a little bit of a smoked meat, and the next time I came through on it, I think it kind of tended a little bit more towards the ashy wet log as well. So in fourth place, I ended up putting Springbank 18. All right, that makes sense. There's a soft note that's coming out of here, and I think that age with that velvety texture speaks to it being 18 and also low peat. I don't think Springbanks, to me at least, come across as packing a lot of a peat punch. So that was in fourth place. In my third place, I ended up putting glass number 4 in third place. I think the salty, briny note was a little bit out of place. I didn't really get that in any of the others. The peat that was coming out of here was also a little bit more towards the iodine note. Sometimes I crave that note, but not all the time. It's coming out of the glass as pretty low on the ABV. I do like the malt note that's coming out of here. And because of the salty briny note, I think it gave a little bit more depth, and that's why I put it over this one. So in third place, I was drinking Ardbeg 10. All right, Ardbeg 10 coming in third place. That's pretty impressive. I was wondering where this was going to fall in this lineup, and that's, I think that's a pretty honorable finish, third place. Going through these flights, this direction and back this direction, there was no doubt these two were going to vie for first place. They were very similar, but here's what I have. In second place, I have glass number 1. I like the malt that's coming out of here. There's a good grilled pineapple note. The ABV is pretty good, but the peat note that I'm getting out of here was a little bit overpowering all of the other notes that I was getting in the glass. They were all there. The vanilla, the chocolate, a little bit of tobacco. The peat was definitely the peat that I like around that smoked savor, the smoked meat side of things. Again, a bowl of red fruits. That's what I like. But the peat was just a little bit overpowering to put this in first. So in second place, I ended up putting, all right, the Ardbeg Ugadal is in second place, which means in first place was, and I just want to make sure, is the Octomore. So the Octomore 13.2. That doesn't surprise me at all. Every time I go to this bottle, it has everything that these glasses have, and it's well balanced. I don't think any single note overpowers the other. Just like I was talking about with one of these glasses, it's almost like you were dissolving chocolate in your mouth, and there is this velvety, saturated feel that you get, and it goes through waves. And every time I sip it, I get chocolate, I get grilled pineapple, I get the savory smoked meat peat, I ended up getting vanilla, tobacco, barrel bitterness, and it all just comes in waves and it unfolds, and the finish on it is spectacular. So that does not surprise me that this ended up in first place, but it did surprise me that I couldn't find a place to put this within any of my peated flights. So I wanted to throw it in here to see how it would do. I actually thought that the Springbank 18 was going to be the one that came out on top, but obviously that ended up being in fourth place, which was this glass, right? Yeah, ended up being in fourth place. So there you go. This is the winner of my flight, the Octomore 13.2. Now, you have an opportunity to win this flight, or you can go back and you can choose, if you're the one that was selected, you can choose any of my peated scotches from any of my peated series. You can choose up to 7, and I will throw in the Octomore 13.2. So you have to choose 7, and you're going to get a total of 8 2-ounce samples. So if you want to support the channel, every donation for the super chat, underneath the video, there's a little icon with a little heart in the middle. You can just click on that. Every $5 gets you 1 entry. You have to be living in the United States for me to ship to you. You have to be 21 years of age or older. And if selected, I'm going to have to verify your age somehow, some way. And I'm curious, if you have these in your collection and you've done a flight with these, where did they fall? Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite peated scotches are. I would be very interested to see if I don't have them in my collection. I'm always looking to go out and get a little bit more. Do all those things that YouTubers ask you to do. Like, subscribe, share, turn on that bell notification, because I release videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And until the next time, wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.